Hey everyone, this video lesson goes along with the PowerPoint that is in the Week 8 module under the lesson for Introduction to Research. This PowerPoint is very brief, it's only a few slides, but it's just some additional notes on APA format. So a couple things that didn't really fit in with the first handout on the basic, rules of APA format, and it really wasn't with the sample APA research essay. Just some additional things that I want to bring your attention to that might help you in future classes before you get to Comp 2, where APA and research are really taught. So the first thing is slide 2. I direct you to two websites, two very useful websites for APA format. The first is APA, right? If you want some questions answered about APA format, go straight to the experts. So it's apa.org. Okay, now remember, APA stands for American Psychological Association, which deals with way more than just APA style. They have a whole bunch of stuff on their website devoted to, psychological and psychology, types of topics. So you'll have to scroll down a little bit until you find the section on APA style. And it'll have that little picture, the little blue and green, picture with it. And it's not maybe a little more than halfway down as you scroll down the home page of the website. But it will be in a series of sections, like a series of links. But it's the very first one, APA style. I'm sure you could even, put it into the search section up on the home page, and it would take you to where you need to be. But that's where you go to get information on APA format, right? There's tutorials in there, there's PowerPoints, there's all kinds of useful information about the title page and the header and all of that stuff. So it can answer a lot of different questions for you. One thing that it answers, and you'll see it as soon as you go to APA style, click on that little picture or that little icon. When it takes you into that section on APA style, you'll see in the top right hand corner some frequently asked questions. And the very first frequently asked question is, how do I cite a website with no author? Very useful information, and you won't find it in very many places. Not many handbooks have that information. Even the other website that I point out on this slide doesn't have it. They have not caught up yet. But APA themselves have. They realize that there are valid and credible sources on the internet that don't provide an author for the information that they're giving you. And, that would normally mean you shouldn't use it. If there's no author, then it must not be credible. It must not be worthy of being used in a formal research paper. And APA is like, nah, not really. We've come a long way on the internet. Yes, you have to be very careful about what sources you use to make sure that they are credible and that they're not bogus, that they're legit. But there are plenty of sites out there that are legit. They just don't provide an author for every section of information that they provide. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to use that information as a source in your paper. So they provide you with, how to do that. I actually provided it here on the PowerPoint as well, but there's a lot of other useful information about APA format in that section of APA's website. And again, if you want some answers, why not go straight to the experts? The other website that I put on here that is useful is the Purdue Online Writing Lab, also called the Purdue OWL, O-W-L. It has a lot of information on APA format, including how to do the citations and how to format each type of reference entry. But what's cool about the Purdue Online Writing Lab is it actually offers a lot of useful and helpful information on all aspects of writing. So from forming an intro and a thesis statement to topic sentences, transitions, grammar and mechanics, everything basically that I have covered this quarter in this class, you can find assistance with on the Purdue Online Writing Lab. But obviously, for the sake of this lesson, we're looking specifically at APA format, and they do offer quite a bit of information and help in that area as well. So 2 websites that can be super useful to you when working in APA formats. I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of both of those websites so that you can refer back to them for future classes if you need to. So the next slide on the PowerPoint goes back to what I was just talking about, how to cite a web page with no author, right? So I've given you 2 examples, right? The first example here is an article retrieved off of MSNBC. So, MSNBC, that's a pretty credible website. You should be able to use that information in a research paper, but they don't always give authors for the articles on the website. So in this case, you can see what comes first in the citation is the title, right? All 33 Chile miners freed in flawless rescue. The only thing that's capitalized is the A in all and the C in Chile because it's a proper noun. The rest of the title is still lowercase, even the first letters of each word is all lowercase. You still put the date in parentheses, right? That it was written, and then retrieved from, and then you type the full URL, not just www.msnbc.msn.com, because that just takes you to the homepage of the website, right? You have to give the full URL. So that means you go up to the search bar in your browser, and you have to copy the entire thing. And sometimes you can't even see the whole thing, right? So you just got to put your mouse on it and double click so that the whole thing is highlighted in blue, and then right click, copy, and then go into Word where you're creating the reference entry and paste it there. So you have to have the full URL. Very important. Because basically you want your reader to be able to type in that full URL and go straight to that article, not just the homepage for MSNBC. Remember, the whole point of a reference page is so you can get your reader to where they need to be, exactly where they need to be, if they would like to read that source on their own. So you got to take them to that exact location where that article is, not just the main page for the website. And for this one, if you're doing the in-text citation, if you're quoting this or paraphrasing information from it in the body of the essay, the part that goes in the parentheses is the title, in quotation marks, all 33 Chile miners, comma, quotation mark, and then the year of publication, 2010, right? Pretty easy. But again, remember, it matches up with how the reference entry starts. So if the reference entry starts with the title, that's what's going to go in the parentheses when you cite it in the body of the essay. And notice that it's not the whole title. It's not all 33 Chile miners freed in flawless rescue in the parentheses. It's just all 33 Chile miners. You can shorten it a little bit if it's a long title. So that is the first example there, how to do a reference entry for a website with no author and how to do the in-text citation for that entry. The next slide is very similar, except this time, not only do we not have an author, but we also don't have a date of publication. And this isn't really an article, it's a section. So we're using Wikipedia as our example here, but honestly, Wikipedia is not often a credible source because anybody can create a Wikipedia entry and they can be edited, and it's just very problematic. But that's not to say that you can never quote or use information from Wikipedia. It depends on how you're using it. But there's also other websites that, would follow this type of setup. So for instance, like WebMD, right? You can be doing research on, brain hemorrhages and on WebMD and be using information from that website. And there's not going to be an author. It's going to be the exact same setup as what is on this slide. So for this instance, we're on Wikipedia and we're looking up neurology. So we don't have an article title, we just have a section title. So that's what starts the entry, right? and then, but we don't have a date of publication. So when you don't have a date of publication, what goes in the parentheses is lowercase n period, lowercase d period for no date, right? And if you look at the in-text citation, that's how you do that too, because normally what goes in the parentheses in the body of the essay is the author's last name or the title, comma, year of publication. But if we don't have the year of publication, what do we put in the parentheses? You have to put ND so your reader knows that there's no date given for that information. So just another example of when you might come across a source that not only doesn't have an author, but doesn't have a date of publication, doesn't even have a title, it's just a section of a web page. So both of those slides there can help you greatly in this day and age doing reference entries for certain types of sources. Just remember it still goes in alphabetical order on your list. So for this one, you know, it starts with neurology. So it's going to be down there after M and before O, right? You know, the previous slide, the article, the all 33 Chile miners, that starts with an A, so it's going to be at the top of your list. Doesn't matter that it's not an author's last name. It's just whatever the first word is. That's where it's going to fall in the order of your entries. So anyway, just a couple of useful slides there I wanted to go over with you to make sure you knew about those websites and how useful they can be to you, and to give you a very specific and concrete example of how to create those reference entries. And for the assignment that you're doing that goes along with APA format, you're going to be creating a reference entry, a reference page, and one of the sources that I give you is a website with no author. So I know how difficult it is to find that information on the internet, how to create that type of entry. So I wanted to make sure I gave it to you, not only for that assignment, but then also for you to carry with you into future classes. So if you have any questions about the websites or about how to create this type of reference entry, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I hope the information is useful to you, not only for my class, but for all other classes that you might take where you have to use APA format. And if you ever have any questions, even once this class is over, feel free to get in touch with me and I will try to point you in the right direction as far as how to do APA formatting. Okay?